So as an individual, there's a lot of work that I have to do to not be a piece of shit. Especially as a person, yeah, in recovery. And this is something that I say in, the secret society meetings we have, that the first drug I was exposed to was not alcohol or marijuana or cocaine. The first drug I was exposed to in my household was superiority. We believe this, so we are better than the people that believe other things. We vote for this political party, so we are better than the people that vote for the other political party. That was the first drug I was exposed to from my family. So that is the drug that I have to be most conscious of in my day-to-day life. And I, Jess, am sort of a community builder naturally. I'm the oldest of 6 siblings. We were homeschooled, and I did end up going to public school, but this is all just to say that creating a system to manage a community is something that is like in my DNA. So I very often end up, now that I'm older and wiser, I end up more reluctantly in leadership positions. So our comedy production company, since May, we've produced 42 comedy shows. Sorry, airplane. There it is.
That's LA life.
I live pretty close to the Burbank airport. So we also host a weekly open mic. And we have Jolly Ranchers. And we give them away for free. And Jolly Ranchers are vegan. You know what I mean? So like I am in the position of, and I don't want to say position of power because it's like, okay, we got 20 comedians and that one's in charge. Like, is that really power?
Like herding cats.
But
You're the cat who's in charge.
Exactly. Excuse me while I lick myself. What were we doing? So, that's a very apt analogy. So basically, I created Comedy for the Animals to have that safe space for vegans, and not just for vegan audience members, but also for vegan performers as well. And we've only done 2 of those shows because we sort of found a home with Dynasty Typewriter. Dynasty Typewriter veganized their entire concession stand for us. They removed any of their regular concessions that they would sell for any other show that contained any animal products, including honey and butter and all that stuff. So big shout out to Misty and the whole team at Dynasty Typewriter. They're amazing. And maybe I should walk down a different street. So to answer your question, I guess, and this is still something I'm working on, is I have no problem telling a comic or someone in the audience to fuck off. I have to manage my own sense of superiority in any given context, and I put that at the top of my list of priorities, that I am no better than anyone else. Except when it comes to being vegan. I'm sorry, I am better than you. It is better.
It's a difficult thing. I feel similarly. It's
being
like
vegan is better. I'm sorry. Like, it's like I'm choosing compassion and love, and it's better for the environment. It's better for my health. It's better. I'm sorry. It is. And if you're
not just it's better for everybody else's health.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm a better person intrinsically. I'm saying that I have embraced the inner vegan within me, and you haven't. So you have just as much capacity for compassion and self-improvement that I have. It's just you haven't tapped into it yet for whatever reason. And because I myself didn't consciously choose to be vegan, I didn't like open up my diary one day and say, today I chose to be vegan. It was quite the opposite. Because that is the context in which I have to view my own vegan journey, that forces me to have compassion for those people who have not yet connected with their inner vegan. Because if they're like me, they can't just consciously choose to be vegan either. They may have to go through the same spiritual awakening or one similar to mine to get to where they need to be to embrace that part of themselves.
So is the I wanted to ask you more about your comedy show because I think it's wonderful and it's very unique. I've never heard anything like this before, and I really wanted to go to your last one with Tig, but I was working that day. But anyway, can you tell us a little bit about that show? Like, how do you find the vegan comedians to do this show? Because not everybody's going to put "I'm a vegan person" in their profile.
You know, that's a very, very good point, especially in comedy. Um, yeah, it's just sort of like this. I mean, it's, you know, it's showbiz, baby. Like, there's levels to this shit. There, you know, there's definitely a vegan Illuminati, you know what I mean? And there's levels to it, right? Like you got Joaquin Phoenix and Billie Eilish and Moby at the top. They're in the
Yeah.
top tier, right? They're in the top tier with Tabitha Brown and Chris Paul and all of those folks, right? The A-list celebrity vegans. But then you have this like second tier who are like the executive directors of all the nonprofits, people like you, people like Bobby Sudd, people like Janet.
I'm in the
And
second tier, dude. Thank you. I feel very
I would
important.
say well, but I'm gonna go ahead and put myself in that second
All
tier as
right.
well.
Hey,
Is
good
yeah,
company.
is like we are innovators doing things for the community in a proactive way because you know, I don't know, I'm sure you've been to a pig vigil or a chicken vigil. Um, and I also have a friend who works at PETA who at one point like said, "Hey, if you wanted a job at PETA, I could probably get you a job at PETA." After going to a vigil and being like sort of kind of offered a job at PETA, I very quickly realized I cannot participate in activism that intimately. I am insanely sensitive. The first vigil that I went to, as soon as I saw the truck, I started shaking and sobbing uncontrollably. I could not physically um, put my
Yeah.
body through that trauma because I think I at the time I still had a lot of shame around the choices I had made, even though they were like programmed into me. I still made those choices, and it still took me that 30 years to sort of wake up. Um, so, comedy for the animals really sprouted from that sort of very specific story that I told earlier about Gabriel Iglesias. But once I sort of settled into it, and we produced our first show, and then we ended up producing our second show with Tig Notaro as the headliner. Um, I really realized this is my activism. This is what I can do for the community. This is what I can do for the animals. I can't go to all the vigils. I can't work at PETA and look at those photos and videos every day. I can't do that. I don't have the capacity. But what I can do is create an environment where the people who do have that capacity can come and recharge. They can come and let go. They can come and laugh because crying and laughing are spiritual acts. They are things that our bodies do naturally to release trauma and to embrace healing. When we cry, when we laugh, we are engaging with a subconscious like divine power, I think, and creating a space where vegans and non-vegans can come together and have a good time, especially through laughter. That's the form of activism that I have the capacity to engage with and to empower other people to do. And to finally get back to and answer your question, I just kind of put the word out. I just put feelers out. It took me several months to build up the list of comics that I have now who are vegan. Um, but we've had incredible performers. April O'Neil and Ash T were our openers for the Mike Kaplan show. If y'all haven't heard of Mike Kaplan, he spells his name MYQ. Mike Kaplan, he is, in no uncertain terms, a comedic genius. He has a master's degree, I believe, in linguistics, and the style of his comedy is so smart and so funny and also silly. Um, I highly, 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 highly recommend checking out all of his work. And we had sort of a scheduling snafu, and that's why that very first Comedy for the Animals show was the attendance was pretty low. I guess we wouldn't say it was a huge success from a business standpoint, albeit it was a huge success from a creative standpoint. But then I think because we did pull off that first show, Tig said yes to do our second show, which we did this year in March, and that show sold out. And we had myself and my business partner Michael Rayleigh opened the show and hosted it. We had Peyton McCormick and Stephen Marcus Relaford as comics opening the show, and it was really, really fun. It was really great. And the charity of benefit was a charity called Vegan Outreach. There's basically that's sort of another part of the activism component of Comedy for the Animals is we let the headliner choose what charity they want to be the charity of benefit, and Tig chose Vegan Outreach. The director of development of Vegan Outreach, a woman named Alex Burry, flew in from Anchorage, Alaska to Los Angeles to see the show. It was so fun. It was really, really cool.
That's great. You know, I'm a puppeteer, I'm an artist, and I do believe that it's through our art that we're going to be able to really make a difference in this world. You know, I think I can go online and go into comment sections and stand out there with signs, and I can make a certain impact doing that. But I think, you know, if you're a comedian, if you're an author, if you are a storyteller in some way, it really is these stories that we tell. And it's only a matter of time before we have like a mainstream feature film with a vegan activist as the protagonist. You know, it could even be something that just it helps people understand what dystopia feels like and all that. And I think it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be through things like that we're really gonna start to see bigger societal shifts, just in how people observe not just their relationship to animals, but also like vegans themselves. I think there is going to come a time where there's going to be a reckoning where, you know, society's going to realize, wait, hang on, the vegans were right this whole time. And there's going to be a bit of like, oh, was I shitting on vegans for 10 years through my comedy? Maybe I should go and, you know, apologize for that. Or I don't know what that's going to look like, but I do feel like in the future, there's going to be a reckoning.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, you know, like any art form, it is a process that involves a lot of discovery. Every individual artist has to find their voice, and not everyone does. And even in the more successful established groups, I don't even know if all of those artists have really found their voice. They may have found success, but what are you really saying? Are you just participating in commerce and you got lucky and you have a position where you can make a good living, and not to mention your attorney and your agent and your manager can make a good living? Or are you really pushing the boundaries? Are you really saying something? I think for me personally, the journey that Mark Maron has been on with becoming vegan is like, he goes out of his way to say, look, this is not an ethical thing. I'm not vegan for the animals. This is about cholesterol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm looking at Mark and I'm like, you're almost there, buddy.
Almost there.
It's only a matter of time.
I didn't know he was doing that. That's great.
He's been vegan for like 9 months, but
wow.
He did it all for his cholesterol levels. And he talks about his connection with animals, and I'm just like, dude, that vegan trapped inside of you is screaming.
Yeah.
He's been screaming for years, and you're still not listening, but that's okay. It's okay. One step at a time, baby steps.
I've been trying to get Bill Burr to go vegan. I'll send him emails from time to time. I'll be like, listen, you already have the values. Just go ahead and do it. I know that you can, because I like Bill a lot. Do you know Eddie Pepitone? Is he on your radar?
I'm familiar. Yeah, I'm familiar with Eddie Pepitone.
So I would recommend reaching out to him for your show, because he's vegan and he is one of my favorite stand-ups.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't know he was.
He doesn't talk about it too much, but he is, and he's an
I,
ethical vegan. So yeah.
I will say this. I will say this. I don't know if I should say this. Let's just say a very predominant comedic singer-songwriter who was very big in the 80s and 90s is a vegan, and when reached out to through his management, declined to participate in our show because while this is the manager saying, while my client is vegan, he doesn't like to really promote it or put it out there in his work. So it's a, it's a dynamic thing, and I do think, when Joaquin won the Academy Award and used that time to talk about the suffering of dairy cows specifically, the platform that Billie Eilish has, with her, record number of Grammy wins and the amount of fans that she has and the power that comes with that platform, I think that you are right in that the reckoning. I don't know about that word, but I think there will definitely be a mass expansion of ideas and an open-heartedness from people in large groups that start to realize